What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to episode 35 of the LARNE project here in Football Manager 2019. Hopefully you guys are good. Today, it's the end of Season 3. We have a pretty large game. It's going to be the Cup final, and it's going to be against Glenavon, who have really been our big rival this year, a side who have been a thorn in our side, it would be fair to say. Since we were last here, we've obviously wrapped up the season. You can see, looking at the league table, if we do that just here, we are, well, we're the champions. We knew we were the champions already, but one defeat all season in the league, 64 goals for. Glenavon, to be fair, who we played today, they were the team who kept up with us best. They were the only team to beat us as well. I don't want to go into this game with too much in the way of complacency. I feel like we've got to be just a little bit wary of them, perhaps, but it's been a very, very good season, as you can see here. We've been top dogs for most of it, despite kind of rotating the team a fair lot. Everyone's done very, very well. I do think it's interesting and worth mentioning. You can see here Daniel Mackay, a player who we had, of course. We sold him for 55k to Glenavon. He's got 10 goals and 16 assists this season. I mean, on the face of it, it seems like it might have been a mistake to sell him, but we were very blessed in the centre attacking mid position, and we very much still are. Before we go into the results since you were last here, I want to talk about the transfer restrictions. It was something I touched upon last episode. I mentioned it in the comment section as well. And I basically asked, what would you guys like to see in the way of transfer restriction changes with the save game? Because as much as it was pretty admirable, I feel like, of me to look for players who are 18 or younger from the UK or Ireland, or obviously under 21 if they're from Northern Ireland, it was kind of getting to a point where I'm sat with all this money. You can see all 7 million of it, a massive wage budget. I just can't attract players. There's a big kind of jump from 18-year-olds who I can attract to the 18-year-olds who I'd like to spend my big money on. But you kind of go to West Brom as an example, and they want £30 million for their 18-year-olds. The way the transfer AI works, they seem to, not really want to risk even selling their younger players. So it's kind of been a bit of an ongoing battle. So with that, I think the change that we're going to do with the rules, I put in a few proposals, is to keep things simple. We're just going to move our age restriction so it's ages at most 21 for players from the UK and Ireland. So we'll have a few more options to bring in players, but if we just look at players sorted by value here, to put it into perspective, I mean, Paul Morrison isn't the best example because I don't think he'd actually sign for us. But in terms of 21-year-olds, it just opens up options for players like Niall Ennis here, who, to be honest, isn't really an improvement on what we've got now, but would be the kind of player we'd just be completely excluded from signing. I understand that some people might not like that rule change. Main kind of, I guess, reasons for doing it is that with the current transfer restrictions, in order to be effective in the market, I was essentially having a shotgun approach where I just sign a load of players. We were ending up with 30 players in the first team, 36 I think we had at one point. It's difficult for you guys to follow watching the episodes. It's difficult for me to follow managing the team. I want to get the squad size down to a more acceptable size, and I feel like just upping that age limit's going to limit that a little bit more. A few people did talk about maybe having some kind of foreign player rule where maybe we are allowed to sign players who are under the age of 21 and are foreign, but we can have a limit of 3 of them in the team at any one time, a bit like the MLS designated player rule. I'm not going to commit to that 100%. Let me know how you feel about that one. It could be fun to maybe get players from obscure nations. I did consider the possibility of putting in some rule, to do with national rankings. Maybe the country has to be ranked lower than Northern Ireland in the world rankings, but when you start having rules like that, it just gets a little bit confusing and a little bit convoluted to, check all the time and explain to you guys where the players are. So for at least for now, 21 years old and younger, all players within the British Isles and, well, the Republic of Ireland. Anyway, that is that. I think since you were last here, we've played a lot of games. Of course, Glentoran in the Northern Irish Football League Cup was our last game. Since then, you can see we beat Crusaders 5-1 in the league. Pesteridge grabbed 2, Janelle Bennett with 2, and Jim Wood with a goal as well. We then moved on to Warren Point Town, a 2-0 win, secured us the league title. A good clean sheet, Simon Carlisle getting a goal in this game. He also got a goal in the following game. The 17-year-old player we picked up last year, definitely one for the future, one I'm very, very excited about. Hopefully he can come good for us. I feel like he definitely has the potential to do just that. Anyway, in our next game, you can see we took on Ballina Mallard in the Irish Cup quarter-final. A little bit of a scare in this one, perhaps. We won it 3-1, but you can see here they scored in the 91st minute to take it to extra time. Keith Frame, though, did grab 2 goals for us, An exceptional talent, this guy, 18 years old. We signed him from Crusaders in January. His average ratings haven't been the best, but he came up clutch here. And the fact that he's consistent and has 16 vision, I'm beginning to think maybe he's the successor to Mandanda, even if he only has 3 flair. And it was him and Carlisle, who we just looked at, with the crucial goals for us in that game. Anyway, the next match we played Coleraine, we won it 3-0, Justin Wright with a hat-trick. And then we beat Dungannon Swifts as well. Dungannon Swifts falling to Justin Wright once more with a second hat-trick in a week. And, well, what a player this guy has been. He's kind of come in. Kyendra Simmons, to an extent, has kind of found himself down the pecking order. With our new 4-2-3-1, I feel like the lack of passing ability does hinder Simmons just a little bit. As much as we do play with an advanced forward, because we are playing this passing, controlling style of play, it's kind of important to have players who are good with the ball at their feet and a good team player. So whilst the passing isn't necessarily crazy for Justin Wright, he does have 16 teamwork, good vision and good work rate. And I feel like he contributes a lot for us. And, well, back-to-back hat-trick speaks for him itself. At 18 years old as well. Wasn't a cheap signing by any means, but a 7.13 average rating for him. If we just compare that to Simmons, just to put things in a little bit of perspective, Simmons' average rating this year, 6.79. He had a bit of interest shown in him in January, and I feel like that kind of turned his head. Anyway, moving on from that game, we beat Cliftonville 1-0. Steve Pesteridge with a goal. Got one the previous match as well. Another player who I'm hyping up just a little bit. You can see he's improved a lot. He's very consistent too. £220,000 paid for him. 7 goals to his name. You can see obviously only 4-star potential ability. But the way in which he's improving leads me to hope that maybe he can surpass that expectation of our staff members. The next game we had against Ballymena, a 4-1 win here. Justin Wright with a goal. Kenny Dixon, who has emerged actually as our key player on our team profile kind of page with the other goal. You can see here, considered our key player. And he's been very, very good for us out on the right-hand side. Hasn't played that many league games really, but £500,000, not a small fee paid for him, a bit of a punt. 2 goals, 2 assists, a 7.73 rating in 3 appearances for him there. You can see in cup games as well, a 7.82 average rating. Hopefully, he is going to be a winger for the future for us. And, well, I talked about him being kind of the key player on our profile screen. Harley Johnson, another player we signed in January, is now listed as our hot prospect, which is a little bit interesting because he only has 4-star potential. But at 18 years old, signed him largely off the fact that he was a Welsh under-21 international and his contract was up at the end of the year. Obviously, agreed to sign for us from Birmingham. Hasn't played a whole host of games for us, but if his potential, at least in the eyes of, I guess, our key employers, is anything to go by, someone who we definitely need to keep an eye on. Anyway, the next game that we had was against Glenavon. I will show the highlights for this game. And it started off, if we just go back a little bit, with the first goal of the game, which came in the 84th minute for Glenavon. Now, bear in mind, at this point, we have been unbeaten since October. Yes, you might think about our Europa League campaign. We actually went unbeaten in the last 3 games we had in the Europa League. So as a result, we were kind of going into this hoping that we could, well, get a win on the penultimate day of the season. But knowing that Glenavon have beaten us before, I knew it wasn't going to be easy. We went a goal down in the 84th minute. You can see here, Janelle Bennett, lovely finish by him there to make it 1-1. And then in the 89th minute, 1 minute later, we made a few tactical changes in this game. We went more attacking. It was Frame again with the goal. And what a goal that could prove to be. An absolutely massive result. You'd say on the balance of play we deserved it, but it was a bit of a scare. I mean, you can see here, Wood on off the bench in the 86th minute, got both assists. Frame on off the bench for the goal. I'm going to take some credit for this one. Obviously, key Frame we've looked at. Wood, a player who has played a little bit for us. Not a massive amount, but I do rate him and quite like him as a player, particularly on off the bench. I feel like his acceleration and pace can really strike fear into the hearts of defenders. And this was a prime example of it here. Anyway, in our last game of the year, we took on Crusaders. You can see they had a man sent off in the 55th minute. It made our job a little bit easier. They didn't have a shot on target all game. Paul O'Connor, a name I've not uttered in a little while, it feels like. A crucial player for us, of course, with 2 goals to his name. Hasn't had the craziest season on the goal-scoring front, particularly compared to last year. But good to see him end the season in style. And, well, he looks very, very solid, it has to be said. So anyway, that leads us all to where we are now, which is the game against Glenavon. This won't be the end of season live com. I'm going to do that tomorrow. And I think as part of that, we'll go through all the award winners, and we'll also talk about our squad and the culling, which is going to be happening. And when I talk about the culling, I mean in the sense that we need to get our first team down to an acceptable size. I'd also like to get the under-20s down to an acceptable size. Maybe making a little bit of use of our under-18s where we need to. Although if you look through these players, most of them are in that kind of 18 to 19 to 20 range. So perhaps some players we need to look to sell on. And we're going to be treating our reserves as basically a graveyard for players who we're going to be getting rid of. You can see here, within our reserves, excuse me, I don't know what's just happened to me there. We have a lot of players whose contracts are just running out, and we're just going to let them run out and see what happens to them. It's a bit of a shame with some of these because they were, in their day, good players, but you live and you learn. One player I think deserves a special mention is Matty Drury. Now, you might be thinking, Jack, I don't recognise this guy. I think we signed him in the second episode for £210, and at the time, he was Queen's Park's Heart prospect. I was high on him. I thought he was going to be great. I don't know if I expressed that in a video, but I genuinely believed he was going to be the next piece of sliced bread. That doesn't make sense as an expression, but he's not sliced bread. He's gone mouldy. He's just not very good. But yeah, next episode we'll be going through all our team and all the awards and such. But for now, at least, we're going to focus on the Irish Cup final where we take on Glenavon. So yes, we're going to be taking them on. I believe the team is actually pronounced Glenavon, but Glenavon is how I've said it, and I've cursed myself for life. So I apologise to all my Northern Irish viewers out there who are going to be annoyed. A little bit of an interesting situation. Goalkeepers. Yeah, Jared Thompson's injured. Adam Cockbill's injured. So our third choice keeper, I did not mean to put in Jared there, Ian Robson is going to come in. This is a guy who I think we signed as a free transfer who was released by Chester. So doesn't exactly scream quality, but my board at the time, or rather my scouts at the time said he had potential. I want to buy into the hype. I want to believe it. What is his height? His height isn't even that good. I can't buy into the height, but I'm going to buy into the hype. Hopefully he can come good for us. In terms of our team, we're going to go with what I consider right now to be my best 11 in terms of the starting 11. On the bench, I am going to have Michelini and Sull. And the reason I'm going to have these guys on the bench is because this is probably going to be the last games they play for the clubs, at least as starters. Whether or not they're happy to kind of settle into backup roles remains to be seen. I don't see it happening. So it might be a bon voyage to them. But in terms of our defence, we're going to go with Kieran Kane at left-back. He's held down this position since, well, the beginning of time, it feels like. Been a top player for us. Right-back, Robinson plays. He's been a very, very good defensive option for us. I feel like in terms of right-backs, he's just excelled past Conor McDermott, who, of course, is our kind of resourceful player, who might be on a little bit too much in the way of wages now. You can see Neco Williams, who was a star last year, has fallen off the pace. But interestingly, you might have noticed a slightly unfamiliar name there. Neil Bale, who we signed this year, 18 years old, signed from Bala. He's been putting in some tremendous performances in the league, so he's kind of a pretty good backup option to have. It looks like he's been going down as of late. Probably a player who will find himself in the under-20s next year, but capped at under-21 level for Wales. He's been pretty good at right back, but no, it's Robinson who's going to hold down his position. At centre back, we're going to go with McCoy. Now, this guy has just emerged onto the scene this year. I wish he was more consistent. I wish he was better in the air. But when you look beyond those initial shortcomings, I think what we have here is a very, very good centre back. Anyway, alongside him, we are going to go, of course, with Andrew Morrison. Very, very good player. You can see he and McCoy definitely tipped as our best two centre-backs. Behind them, Adrian Crawford is not that far off either. At 17 as well, loads of room to improve. And Timmy Soberwale as well, right up there. I feel like between these players, we have some very good, talented centre-backs. And of all the positions we have, it's one that I'm pretty optimistic for the future. In terms of the midfield pairing, we're going to go with Jim Meister as our ball-winning midfielder. You can see Ryan Newell, the next closest player. You might remember Newell as a player who, well, we brought in last year, and he actually played a fair few games for us. Originally from Boston, we signed him for 38.5k. He's a good backup player, but hasn't really played that much at all this year. 7 league starts he's had when we've kind of rotated him in as part of our ongoing rotation options. But yeah, Jim Meister takes his place there. Glendinning or Glendining, I believe he has a fan club in the comments. I'm sure they're going to be representing as I mention his name. He's going to start for us as our centre mid on support. Not going to be playing the advanced playmaker role, which is kind of what you might expect him to play. And the reason for that is simple. Craig Bannon is just a player I really rate in this area of the pitch. He was great for us, of course, last episode in the live com. He did suffer fractured ribs in February, so he's been missing for a little while, but he's back now. Hopefully he's going to return with a bang. Out on the left, we're going to go with Lille. Again, another player who is young and I'm very excited about. Out on the right, it's going to be Dixon. Again, young and exciting. I feel like that's the title of this episode. And, well, Paul O'Connor going to be our lone striker today. Bit of an experiment playing him there. On the bench, you might notice a few players who you'd expect to be on the bench not being here. I'm talking about the likes of Paul Glatzel, who I still like and will probably keep on as a backup striker next year. But players like Neco Williams, Simmons, if I get a good offer for Simmons, like a few 100,000, I'm probably going to take it at this point. Neco Williams, I've already talked about, but I just don't know if he'll be in the team next year. Phoenix. I was really high on this guy to start the season, and he started okay, to be fair to him. But with the emergence of some of our young wingers, I just can't really find a spot in the team for him. Romario Vieira might be another player on his way out. I think Brad Lyons, I'd like to get rid of. His wages are absolutely mad for a player of his quality. He's just not really good enough, to be honest, especially when you compare his potential to the players around him. Behind those, lots of other kind of rotation-y players who will be probably still around next year but might find themselves in the under-20s. And if they kick up a fuss there, we might move them on. But at least for now, this is kind of the team that I see as our future. I do notice actually with this team that Robinson at right back is the only non-regen player. So it's taken us 3 seasons to get to a point where I feel like regens are just the way to go in this team. But we have some very good players. And I'm hoping that they're going to come good for us today. Glenavon, they've been a bit of a thorn in our side. We turned it around against them late in the season, of course, that penultimate game where we won 2-1. But we have lost to them before. They've caused us issues in the past. Let's see if we can put all those problems behind us and come out on top in this game. That has got to be the ultimate aim here. Very, very optimistic in the players we've got to do what's expected of them. But while McKay, our former man, the back post to Atkinson, and they take an early lead. I mean, apparently Robson should take the blame for rushing out. It is our third choice goalkeeper. I didn't know if it was possible to be worse than Jared Thompson. I mean, if you're going to come out for it like that, you've got to get to it, Robson, and he hasn't. Glenavon, I mean, they're going to be delighted with that start to the game. They've been the better team. And, well, we need to try and turn things around here if we can. But that is not the start that we want, really, is it? We need to do better than that, and hopefully we can do in the what remains of this game. Sorry about that, folks. My phone started going off, so I had to pause it. But we're back. I mean, can you imagine if a referee did that in a real game? Just pause the match. I usually don't have my phone near me when I'm recording videos. So if it goes off, it doesn't matter. But I've been waiting for a phone call, so I had to take it. But I mean, maybe I shouldn't be looking at my phone. Maybe I should be looking at everything else that's going on here. We need to be doing better than we're doing right now. Glenavon, they've been the better team. They say you can't win anything with kids. We're trying to prove them wrong. Where's the passion, boys? Lille, struggling a little bit with fitness. I'm going to make a bit of a change here. I'm going to move Paul O'Connor back. And I bigged him up just in right. On off the bench you come. If he scores this game, Kendra Simmons is gone. I've decided. That is the stakes of this part of the match. If he scores, Simmons is gone. Can you imagine if a manager actually said that in a game? Anyway, it's Glendining to Robson. Crosses it back post. O'Connor! I mean, we should have stuck him on the left wing from the beginning, shouldn't we, folks? What a player he is. Lovely, lovely goal. Robinson with the assist. The change at half-time, granted, it wasn't the player who came on who made the difference, but the player who we relocated making the difference. Looks like an inspired change. Glendining with that first ball, goes wide, and then O'Connor, very good in the air, of course. Great header for him. 13th of the season. It's not the craziest total, but it's a total that we will take nevertheless. And I feel like all things considering, we have to be pretty happy with how things have gone here. An hour gone, 1-1. It's a good turnaround in the second half. We need to keep it going. I'm going to tell the players that I'm demanding more from them. Jim Meister here. What's he going to do? Goes to Robson. Have a go, my son. It was a little bit ambitious from the right back, if we're being honest, but I'm not going to knock him for having the confidence to try it. You can see, in terms of just numbers, we are the team in the ascendancy here. We should be doing better. And well, Bannon, can you become the hero again? He scored in the last cup final. He is looking like a big player, or a big game player rather, is what I'm trying to say. I can't English. Lovely, lovely free kick from him. On that left foot of his, tucks it into the top corner. Tuffy, unable to stop it. And, well, what a result that is. I am, well, happy with that for a free kick. 10 minutes left. Let's make some changes in this game. You can see here, Dixon out on the right hasn't had the best game. Let's bring in Pesteridge, another player who I big up a lot. And I'm also going to bring on a bit of a game changer. Glenn Dining's not had the craziest of games, so we're going to take him off. We're going to bring in Simon Carlisle, the 17-year-old with 20 determination. He has the work rate and the determination, I feel like, to come on in this kind of game and do us proud. But, well, 10 minutes left to try and hold on here. I'm not going to feel comfortable with the 1-goal lead until we make it a second, because Robson in goal, I mean, I don't want to say we should be wary of a player who got released by a team in the Vanarama National North, but we should probably be wary of a player who gets released by a club in the Vanarama National North. And well, it's Jarvis, our former player, who's offside. Oh, Rory, what became of you? I mean, it's kind of funny, actually, how many of our former players they have. Rory Jarvis and McKay, both our former men in the final third. Also, I think Daley Campbell at right back is on loan from us. Anyway, Bannon, Robinson. Can we get a goal here? It would probably settle the game in the dying embers. Ball out wide to Kieran Kane, not known for his ability going forward. Drags it back to O'Connor. Can't find its way in. Kane. In some ways, I want it to get to right so I can sell Simmons. Where's right? Number 97. I mean, how could you forget that number for Justin Wright? Carlisle, the youngster. Back to Jim Meister. Back to Carlisle. Options out wide on the right. Robinson's there. There's people in the middle queuing up. It's Bannon again to Carlisle. Have a go. Have a go, my son. He hits the woodwork. I mean, you have to praise the confidence of a 17-year-old to have a go from there. Still time in this game. Lynch through the back of his man. Surely that was a foul. It's not been given. Oh, no. Not like this. Rory Jarvis could be clean through. That's why we sold him. That's why. Panic over, everyone. If Football Manager truly was rigged, that hits the back of the net. It hasn't. Bannon with a late free kick here. I don't think it's going to amount to anything, but it doesn't need to amount to anything. Although, shut up, Jack. Panic on the counter-attack. We should, ref, blow the whistle. 2-1 is not comfortable. It's the same result we got in the league, but we're going to take it. We beat Glenavon. They have been a thorn in our side this year, but in the end, we came back from behind. That early goal, a goalkeeper mistake, letting them into the game. We dominated the match for large spells. And we are going to run out victors here to end the season. Boys, I'm very, very happy. Of course, we now cast our eyes forward to really the end of the season. As I said, the end of season live come next time out. We're going to be well, sorting out our team, sorting out the mess that we have. I imagine that will actually be the bulk of the episode rather than focusing on individual achievements. It'll probably give us a chance, I feel like, to run through a number of the team players in the team that we have. Some of the players who have emerged this year. You know, as we sort through players, you'll probably spot some players that I've not talked about before. And, well, we'll be promoting, demoting, or selling them next time. It's going to be a bit of a what's the word I'm looking for? A bit of a Black Friday sale-esque situation, I feel like, with us just trying to get some players out the door. But, well, that is something for you to look forward to next time, guys. A great result for us there. Obviously, the Champions League, the next thing that we now cast our eyes forward to. It'd be good to get further than we did this year, where we got knocked out in the first knockout round to Red Star. But I don't know. I feel like we can take confidence from some of the results we've got. You know, the wins against Sporting, against Fenerbahce as well. It gives me hope that maybe we can challenge in the Champions League, or at least get to the Europa League group stage again next year. You can see our last defeat came on the 25th of October. Since then, unbeaten in all competitions, mostly wins as well. Only, 3 draws in that time? 2 in the league, 1 against Karabag. That is one hell of an achievement when you really look at it like that. Difficult to match that, I imagine, but lots of clean sheets as well, which is particularly pleasing. I feel like defensively this year we've been very, very solid. Anyway, I am rambling away here, guys. I'm going to wrap up here things for now. As I said, changing the transfer rules, we're going to be moving to all players from the British Isles and the Republic of Ireland under the age of 21. And, well, 21 and under. And, well, yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys next time for the culling. It's going to be an interesting one. And, well, yeah, hopefully you're looking forward to it as much as I am. It is me, Jack. And, yeah, I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.